The pick is in.
The New Orleans Pelicans have made a selection in the 2024 NBA Draft. I'm Tenitra Batiste, and we're joined by Jake Madison from Locked On Pelicans to break down the Pels selecting Yves Missi with the number 21 pick, presented by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. And Jake, what was your reaction to the Pelicans taking Missi at 21?
It was the expected pick, to be perfectly honest with you. This was this person that he seemed to lock in on the past couple of days, really zero in on, and he fills a need. They don't really have a starting center on the team right now. They're looking for the right big man to place next to Zion Williamson. Missi has a ton of potential as a rim protector, something they've lacked for the past couple of years. So drafting him at this spot when a guy like Zach Edey was gone, when a guy like Khalil Ware wasn't there anymore, seemed to make a lot of sense, as this fits the profile of a really raw prospect with a lot of upside that New Orleans likes to draft and try and develop and turn him into things. That said, wouldn't have been the pick that I would have made, but this was definitely the guy that New Orleans liked.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Jake, the guy that they thought was the best player available. Now, speaking of, like you mentioned, there's the likely departure of Jonas Valanciunas in free agency. So how does Missi complement Larry Nance Jr. at that center position?
Yeah, they use Larry Nance Jr. to close games when they want to play a little bit smaller. They like his ability to defend on the perimeter, to fit into their switching defensive scheme, something that Valanciunas was not able to do. He's more of the lumbering center. When you look at a guy like Missi, he has size that Larry Nance Jr. doesn't have. This is someone who's 7 foot with a 7'2" wingspan that really gives you rim protection. While Nance can switch, the Pelicans gave up a very high percentage at the rim to opponents this past season. They'd like to knock that number down. When you have Missi, who had over 7% block rate in college, someone who averaged a block and a half per game, that's the type of guy that can come in and give you rim protection. Rookies tend to foul a lot. That's my concern here. But if he comes in and can play solid defense, head coach Willie Green likes those type of guys, and he'll find a spot in the rotation right away.
Is Missi going to be enough in terms of a very competitive Western Conference, as you mentioned, very big, very long at the top of the conference? Or do you expect the Pels will still need to look to free agency or for veteran help at the 5?
Yeah, I still think they're going to look to scour likely the trade market to really make a difference at that position. There's a lot of rumors swirling about Brandon Ingram. Could he be traded right now? There's been talks with the Atlanta Hawks, whether it's DeJounte Murray or Trae Young, but one of their centers in Clint Capella or Onyeka Okongwu could come back in that sort of deal, and that addresses the starting 5 for you right there. That could maybe then mean that a guy like Larry Nance Jr. is expendable as well. So you could see a complete revamp of the center position for the Pelicans. And this is something they've been trying to do for a while. When they drafted Zion Williamson, they tried Derek Favors. That didn't work out. They tried Steven Adams. That didn't work out. Jonas Valanciunas has been here for a little bit, but now it appears he's going to be on his way out. So they're still searching for answers, and they're very hopeful they'll try and find it this offseason.
For more on the Pelicans, subscribe to Locked On Pelicans on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And for more on Yves Missi, let's get an inside look on his path to the NBA.
Look out, NBA Rims, because here comes Yves Missi. I'm Cam Stewart from the Locked On Baylor podcast, and we are talking about the 7-foot freshman sensation, Yves Missi, who was just a terror to the Rims in the Big 12 this year, averaging over 11 points and 6 rebounds a game while ranking 3rd in the conference in block shots en route to a Big 12 all-defensive team. I think he can develop into a more polished player like a Nick Claxton type, but the comparison that sticks out to me is Clint Capella, that rim runner and rim protector. Will he have an immediate impact? It might take a little bit to get to the physicality of the NBA level, but I see him as an elite rim runner in the years to come. For more on Yves Missi and all things Baylor, follow and subscribe to Locked On Baylor on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
And for continuing coverage of the 2024 NBA Draft, subscribe to Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.